Hi, I'm Rebecca Downs, original music artist from Birmingham, UK. Welcome to Series 3 of my podcast Downs Your Way in association with Blues in Britain magazine. For further details of me, the magazine, or any of my guests, just have a look in the show notes below. The usual theme of the series is the current state of the music business, and this week I am taking a brief digression. In the last series, I spoke to Walter Trout and then was lucky enough to be a guest at his show at Birmingham Town Hall earlier this year. We have agreed another chat to the series, and at his request, we agreed to focus on his new album, Sign of the Times, which is out on the 5th of September. So this is not part of the regular series, this is a one-off special that carries on from the interview that I did with him in Blues in Britain magazine. Here's what he had to say. Hi everyone. Today we have, the legend and the lovely person that is Walter Trout joining us. Hi Walter, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Rebecca, and I'm a legend in my own mind. And looking in the mirror, I don't know about lovely, but I'm still alive. Everything is good for me.
You know, I was chatting to Chantel McGregor just yesterday and we were both talking about how lovely you were. So there you
Oh,
go.
well, thank you.
So there
Okay.
you go. You've
Okay.
heard it, there's a lot of people say the same thing. So you're just gonna have to accept it and move
All
on.
right. Well, thank you, Rebecca.
Okay. I have been listening to this album nonstop. Um it's I having listened and been a fan of you for so long, and I think we spoke about last time me seeing you at the old Robin too, in
Yeah.
Dudley. Like, we're going back a bit there. I think this is your best album to date, and that's a big thing to say. But so let's
Wow. Thank you. Because I just have to say, I produced this one myself. I did 15 albums. Almost half of my recorded output I did with the great Eric Korn, who's a great producer. But I felt like I want to do something different now. I want to branch out a little. I want to see what I could do because I used to self-produce my early stuff,
right.
and so thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I mean, it's as soon as I put it on, it was like, whoa, and there's a lot of strong messages in it. I mean, we'll get onto all of it, but like, so it feels like listening to all the lyrics, and I've as I've been listening to it, I've been noting them down, and I know kind of from having talked to you previously, kind of where you stand, kind of politically as well, but this feels like a visceral reaction to the world today. Is there any like one moment that sparked this whole album into being as a collection of songs?
Well, I'm going to go back to the beginning of this, and my wife Marie, who is a award-winning songwriter on her own, and she and I have been writing songs together. I figured it out the other day. We wrote our first song together in 1991, so we've been writing for a while. And when it was time to sort of, okay, it's time to come up with another album, we sort of couldn't help but trying to just do a little reflection of what's going on in the world and what's happening in people's lives. And I'm I don't want to contribute to division. I I believe that there's enough division. I can contribute to organizations that I think can help. I can vote. I can, but I can tell you that, and this is Marie's, her view too, is that one of the few things in this world as we get more and more pulled apart and politicians are screaming that the other side is the enemy and trying to dehumanize people that don't believe like them, which is, Music is one of the few things that can actually, we can be brought together, and you can appeal to people's common humanity. And at a gig, when you're up there playing music, like if I'm up there playing a minor blues, and this has happened to me, and I look down in the front row and there's a big, burly, mean looking biker, and he's crying. At that point, we're together, and I have created a community. And in this day and age, I think it's important. You can go on Facebook and rant and yell, it doesn't do a thing. I think it's very important to have something that can try to work against the division, and maybe, but we wanted to reflect on the world and what we see going on. And so, yeah, it's not overtly political, but there are messages. For example, artificial. I am freaked out by AI. I wish it didn't exist. Um, I it I don't know, man. To me, the combination right now of AI and social media is something that in the long run might just bring down the world. Because as I said, you can't tell what's real anymore. I have a dear friend who's English. He's a great musician. I won't name him, but he'll hear this and he'll know. And he put out a single recently. And to promote the single, he's got a video of Barack Obama saying, you got to listen to this. And then he's got Joe Biden, you got to hear this song. And then he's got whoever, Benjamin Netanyahu, you've got to hear this song. And it's all fake, but you can't tell. So it's literally, it's a scary time with that shit. And I know, as I say in that song, I remember, maybe I'm an old man in love with a memory, but I do think life was simpler and less frightening even before the invention of the internet. But now guys are going to send you comments that I'm just an old grouchy, asshole. But that's just the way it is.
You know what? I'm hearing that from so many people. I spoke to Alan Nimmo recently. He's obviously a massive fan of yours as well. We're saying exactly the same thing, that he wishes the whole thing, social media wise, could just be scrapped and it could just sort of go away, sort of thing. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
seems like the genie is out the bottle on that and streaming and
It is. And then with AI now, in the next election, you're going to see videos of people saying things and doing things, and you have no idea if it's real or not. And then you'll have to vote and make up your mind based on who knows what is the truth.
well, that's it. It's so hard to find the truth. I mean, and with AI, I mean, there's been a lot in the media recently about an AI band that I don't know whether you've seen it, that have been
Velvet Sundown?
yeah, you've got
Yeah,
it, you've got it.
yeah,
And obviously a lot that's kind of behind their numbers is bot plays on Spotify, which is a
yeah,
problem as well, a huge problem across streaming because obviously, it's so hard to get on playlists. Like an artist myself is like, scrabbling around, the dream is to get on a Spotify editorial playlist.
yeah.
Um, so I can understand the desperation of like artists going towards using bots and everything like that. But the whole system to me seems kind of like it's a complete mess in a lot of respects, streaming
It
wise.
is. It is. And I also feel like in the last 20 to 25 years, the technology has advanced at such a rapid pace that we just can't keep up with it.
It's,
So,
it's
but thank you
impossible.
for the quotes about the album. I appreciate that.
I love it. I think as well, like I wanted to say, as a vocal coach, your voice is unreal on this album. Like you're doing some extended head voice notes on the end of one song. I have got it noted down here, but I hate looking too much at notes. Um, your voice seems stronger than ever on this album, and everyone always goes on and on and on, rightly so, about your guitar playing. But I just wanted to highlight the fact that your voice sounds amazing.
Well,
You
can
know,
I say something that I find really weird that I don't understand? And
okay.
that is at age 74, I know when I'm doing a gig, I've got much more power and I've got much more range than I ever had. And I don't understand it. I don't fight it, but I can go out and do a tour. I did 5 weeks in the States recently, and I can just sing at my peak of whatever ability I have. I can sing at peak ability night after night after night, and I don't understand it because normally when guys are in their mid 70s, they start to lose it. So that could happen any day where all of a sudden it goes. But right now, I have more power and more range than I've ever had in my life, and it's quite fun to sing. I'm enjoying it.
I can, I heard that straight away on this album because obviously vocals is something that I'm going to latch onto straight away. But I was like, you've got the strength of the growl and the grit that's stronger than ever. And I think personally, it's due to the fact that you are a healthier person now. And the
Could
voice
be.
responds to that. It's
Yeah,
a full body experience. So,
yeah,
you've been through such a lot, and I've seen a lot of the recent, I was just looking at one, just actually, the videos that you've been doing, just talking about some of the stuff that you've been through, and you've been putting that out on social media recently.
yeah.
Going back to the record, and I know you've spoken about this a lot, I think that influences your vocal tone. But do you think is that a part of what makes you continually kind of more creative now? Because you've said you could have written this album 3 times over. You've got
Yeah.
that much material going on. I mean, do you think that's a part of it, like your new health kind of?
It could be. I can tell you that after the transplant and the 8 months in the hospital, and then the brain damage and having to relearn the guitar all over again and start from scratch, um, I have had these realizations that I was given this gift, and for many years I took it for granted. I looked back and I think there were nights I was on stage with John Mayall at something like Carnegie Hall. I'm at Royal Albert Hall in London, or I'm at Royal Festival Hall with John Mayall. And instead of going to myself, Walter, you're from this little town in New Jersey and you're playing with one of your idols and you're touring the world, and isn't this great? Instead of that, I'm looking at my watch and wondering what's going to be on TV when I get back to the room. And I realized that I had taken a gift for granted. And after it was taken from me and I got it back many, many times, I sort of fall on my knees and I say thanks for the gift. And I take it very seriously. And I want to nurture it, and I want to contribute now. I would love to write 3 albums, and I am so grateful to the creator, the universe, for giving me this gift, and I want to use it to the best of my ability of what I've been given.
Well, I mean, and I can see how much that's affecting you. I think, for all of us that kind of perform, we do sometimes take it for granted because it's always been a
Of
part
course.
of us. And
Yeah.
then, I remember, just a little thing, but, having to not sing a few years ago because I'd got to rest my voice. And it felt like I went into the deepest depression. It just felt like my legs had been cut off. So I,
Yeah.
I totally understand. But I mean, going back to John Mayall, like, obviously he had the big, such a huge impact on you. Um, what did he teach you that still resonates today? There's probably loads of things, but like, what's the predominant thing, do you think?
you know, um, he was such a unique, creative, talented, bohemian kind of individual. And he was so much fun to be with. And there are musicians I know who bitch and moan that we're on the road and now we got to drive 6 hours and play another gig. And I've gotten rid of a couple of them in the past couple of years, actually. I've just finally said, go do something else with somebody else, you know, and won't name them, but there's been, but with John, he always exuded joy and gratefulness that he was on the road and he was able to play music. He nurtured and respected and took care of his gift.
Yeah.
And when I look back, I see that in him. He never once complained. Matter of fact, he used to have a quote. He'd say to us, hey, we'd bitch and moan, and he'd say, sleep when you get to LA, you know, and you know, that's the main thing I think I took away from almost 7 years with the guy. How lucky are you get to do this? Any job has parts of it that you're not going to like, parts of it that are going to be tough on you, parts of it that you will not enjoy. But how lucky are you that you get to be an artist and be creative and go out and share your art with people all over the world?
Yeah.
Don't take it for granted.
No, absolutely not. And it's becoming harder as well. That the conversations I've been having, with a lot of artists and also some industry kind of professionals this time as well, sort of managers and whatnot. It seems to be, the demands on artists are consistently getting more and more and more, over time. Do you feel that? Do you feel the impact of like that social media sort of, I've got to put out something or I've got to, or do you just
Of
sort of,
course,
you feel
of
it?
course,
Right.
you have to work within the framework of what's available here.
Mm,
That's why, like, I have a team that's doing my social media and my sort of promotion for me, and they're great. And it's three women. It's my wife and then these two awesome women, and they work hard. And they're the ones that came up with these videos about resilience. And
mm,
um, you've got to work with what's there. Otherwise, you might as well just pack it in, and maybe you're lucky if you're playing at the corner bar on a Saturday night and
mm.
making $50. Um, so yeah, and it just is what it is. But the main thing is don't give up your artistic integrity. Don't start writing things you think I better write this to public. I think that this will appeal to them. Don't try to please people. Please yourself and come up with what is your best, most honest creation, and then share it. And they'll either like it or they
Mm.
won't. But I'd love to go back to talking about the album because I haven't gotten much response on it and I love hearing what you said. You thought it was my best album.
I
I'm
got
just
a, I
very
got
that
a
excited.
lot of questions about the album. A lot of questions about the album. I mean, so you've said like the songs have been a form of therapy for you in a way. This album.
Yeah,
Um, what emotions were you trying to sort of process or kind of confront with it? Because there's a lot of different tracks on there. Obviously, there's a lot of quite spicy tracks on there. And then there's, you show the softer side as always. But like, what were you trying to, I know we got the sort of political response, but there's a lot of other stuff on there as well. So what kind of emotions were you trying to go through with some of these
kind of
songs?
all of them. You know, you got anger, you got joy, you got love, you got frustration. It's kind of all of it, like the song "Struggle to Believe." I've had that phrase in my head for years, and that came when I was not really all that far out of high school. And I'd say to myself, I cannot believe this bullshit they were teaching me in this school. And I struggle to believe it, and I can't believe it. And on this time I went, struggle to believe. And that's why I wrote, I struggle to believe the things they taught me back in school when I was young. I looked around and realized it was not that way at all. And I know I learned it on that day. I'm going to have to follow my own way. And I think a lot of people will relate to that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of reminds me about the sentiment behind breaking the rules a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
You know,
Sure.
it's one of my favorite all-time tracks. I remember covering that when I was about 19, 20, something like that. No, 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
That song Breaking the Rules has, I've done 32 albums now, and I still love the guitar riff
I
that that
just,
song is based on.
it's an iconic riff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's an iconic riff. That's what it is. Soon as you hear that riff kick in, it's like, oh, here we go, here we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were talking about collaborating with your amazing wife Marie, again on this album. Sort of, how does that creative partnership work? On tracks like "Sign of the Times," "Blood on My Pillow," like how does that like work just on a creative basis, the two of you?
Here, I can tell you about Sign of the Times. I had this bit of music, and I had the chant, and the chant is supposed to be the downtrodden, oppressed, poor, struggling people of the world crying and calling out for help, right? And I had that, and I didn't know what to do with it. I had the lick, I had it, and matter of fact, I wrote it, believe it or not, on an acoustic guitar. It was a folk song. It didn't come out that way, but
Yeah, I can
um,
believe that. Yeah.
she and I went when we got back from Europe. We went and saw the movie where Timothy Chalamet plays Bob Dylan, and we watched that movie. And then we came home, and Marie said, "Let's watch a couple documentaries about Bob Dylan."
Hmm.
And she'd never really been into him before, and he's my main guy in my life. And we spent 2 days watching documentaries, and she kind of glazed over and went in the back room and came out 3 hours later with a stack of lyrics. And she
Wow.
said, "Here's a stack of lyrics, and now I'm done with Bob Dylan." And I just picked the top one off the page, and it was Sign of the Times. And the last line was, "All around me, I hear voices of despair." And I went,
Oh.
my God, that's that song with the chant. And I didn't change one line of lyric in there, not one line. That is exactly what was on her page. So it was just meant to be, you know?
It was just one of those things that came together. I thought that chant as well, when I was listening to that song, had kind of a gospely vibe to it as well.
Yeah, it could. I wanted it
Not
to sound a little desperate. It didn't quite come out desperate, but that's basically me and my band going for it,
yeah, you can
standing
hear the
around a
anguish.
microphone.
Yeah, you can hear the anguish in that track. I mean, and the way the lyrics flow in that track is very different. It's almost like as you say, like an angry chant. Even the vocal lyric line going through the verses.
Yeah,
It's just such an
yeah,
interesting song. Just from like the creative level of it, regardless of the emotional
yeah.
kind of
And
impact
I
on
have to say, when we started rehearsing it in my garage, and I heard what John Avila was doing on the bass, I said, "Yeah, go for it." And if you listen to the bass on there, he's just incredible on that song.
it.
He really is doing this incredible stuff, you know.
Does that normally work like that? Does that work like that on the other songs? Like, do you kind of let your band do what they want to do, or do you give them
I
direction?
I
Or...
try to not give them direction. I try to let's go in the garage and let's try these songs in a couple different ways and see how they're going to work, you
Mhm.
know. For example, John, the bass player on that song, who's in my band, and he was on Bob Dylan's last album, and he said Bob Dylan gave them no direction. They sat in a circle. Bob Dylan said, "Here's the song." He showed them the song, and without even rehearsing, he counted to four, and off they went. And
Wow.
you know, and as a matter of fact, we were supposed to rehearse one day, and he goes, "Walter, I have a problem with rehearsal." I go, "What's that?" He goes, "Well, I just got a phone call from Bob Dylan, and he wants me to be in the studio in an hour." I'm like, "Fuck, go, please, go ahead," you know. But anyway, so yeah, I try to not give them too much direction. I hire these guys because I love the way they play,
Yeah.
and I love the way we play together. So let's just be a band.
Let it be.
That's
Yeah.
why I don't use studio guys, you know?
They're in it for the heart, aren't they? And you can see that on stage as well. They're with you every step of the way. So was there a particular track that's on this record that pushed you further than before, artistically or emotionally?
Yes,
I,
most assuredly. I'm going to go back to Struggle to Believe.
yeah.
And we rehearsed it in the garage and we just went over how the verses go. So
Mm.
that's how it's going to go. And we're not going to rehearse it too much because I want this to be loose. And then we're going to record it and we're set up. And they say, "Well, what are we going to do in the middle?" And this is where we got creative. I said, "I'm not going to tell you. We're going to, when it gets to the middle, we're free form. Play whatever you feel
Okay.
like it, and we're going to see what happens." And if you listen to the jam in the middle, we had no idea what we were going to do. So I just hit the bottom string on the guitar and I wait to see what happens. And Mike, the drummer, starts playing this kind of jungle beat.
Mm.
And then the bass player kind of jumps in with Mike, and then I start playing over that. And it was totally free form, totally spontaneous,
Wow.
totally unrehearsed. We did it one time, and then they're looking around. So I just came in singing, and I sang a line of a verse, and they came back in, and we finished the verse. But that was a complete experiment. And
Whoa.
I thought this can either be a total train wreck or this can be really cool. So that is us, and they had none of us knew what we were going to do. If you listen to that jam now, you'll hear me hit the low string,
Yeah, I know
and
the one
now
you're on
I'm
about.
waiting. I'm
Wow.
waiting. Oh, Mike's playing that. All right, here we go, you know.
Oh,
And
that's incredible.
so that really pushed us.
Wow, that's so cool. Because I didn't know that obviously before
And
now. That's so cool.
the man who mixed the album is J.J. Blair, and he did a couple of Who albums. He did a bunch of Rod Stewart albums. He's a Grammy winner, and he had actually, for a time, had played keyboard with the Who.
Wow.
And when he was going to mix it, I said to him, "JJ, there's a song on the Who live at Leeds. It's called Young Man Blues, and they go off in the middle." And he said, "Yeah, it's like they all are playing solos at the same time." And I said, "Yes, that's what I wanted to hear." And he said to me, "There were three bands that did that, Walter: the Cream, the Jimi Hendrix Experience, and the Who." And he goes, "And now you." And I
Wow.
got his stamp of approval, you know.
Oh my God. Well, that's unreal. Yeah.
And that's another song that I wrote on an acoustic guitar, believe it or not. But as soon as we started playing it in a band, I'm like, let's be Rage Against the Machine here, you know?
Well, yeah, because it does come across like there's those elements in it, that like that's what I say about this album. It really is like it's going on another plane. So it's got a harder, rockier edge in a lot of the songs, not all of the songs, obviously,
Yeah.
but in a lot of the songs. So was this like a deliberate shift, or is it kind of more organic, or is it an organic response to, as you say, what's happening out in the world? Just talk us through
Well,
that a little
part
bit.
of it too, it is a reflection. You know, my high school girlfriend, who we were together before I knew how to play a guitar. We go back that far, and we're still dear friends.
That's
So
cool.
we go back, my God, at least 60 years.
Wow.
And she's heard me in every musical organization I've ever done, from when I was playing acoustic guitar in the cafeteria at the high school in 1967, right? And she said to me, she came over and she said, the album is really dark. It's like a lot of darkness in there, Walter. You used to write all these kind of positive songs. And I go, well, it's a dark time, you know? And I can't help but trying to kind of reflect on what's happening here, you know? But also the fact that I produced it myself. I didn't have anybody telling me you shouldn't put that song on here.
Mm.
Um, you know, no, you don't want to do that song. Do this song, but not that song. It was totally up to me, you know. And I had to keep it to 10 songs, which was difficult.
Well, yeah, because you said, you could have put like 3 albums worth together with this, So did those 10 songs kind of pick themselves out of all the
Somewhat,
songs? Yeah.
somewhat. And when one would pop up like Mona Lisa's Smile, that song took about 8 minutes to write. It was given to me. Here it is. The universe handed me this, and I went, well, that's going on there. And when I sang that, I wanted to sing it like guys like Chris Christopherson and people like that, who really are not great singers, but they put the song across. I
Yeah.
tried to sing it like that. I was not trying to sing it my power or give it.
Mm.
I almost whispered the song,
Mm.
you know, and I'm not holding notes. I tried to sing it like a guy, one of those guys, you know.
Yeah, and that comes across as well. I mean, it's definitely not all about, the power. It's as you say, the singing, well, and the guitar playing, everything, but it's about getting the message of the song across, isn't it? And it's you give what the song needs. And
Yeah,
that's what you
exactly.
did, that's what you did. But your keyboard player, and I probably mentioned this to you before in passing, but your keyboard player joked that you wouldn't win a blues award with this record.
Yes, he
I don't
did.
know.
And that was it.
We've
You
laughed
know,
about
when
it.
he said that, we did struggle to believe with the free form jam in the middle. Okay. And then, okay, let's go listen. And we sat down in the control room. We listened to the whole song with the jam. We sat there. There was dead silence. And he said, well, Walter, you won't be winning any blues awards with this album, you know. And well, that's okay, you know.
How do you feel like about because you know I think sometimes, especially in the blues scene, it can get a little bit tight with how people
Yeah.
want to like control it. I mean,
Yeah.
have you ever felt like the pressure to kind of, this isn't going to
No.
resonate with the blues? You just think, what?
I don't, you know, either they like it or they don't. And you can say, well, this guy over here doesn't like that. I better not play like that. Well, this guy over here likes when you play like that. You can't, and there are lots of snobs in the blues world who, oh, that's not the blues, this and that. And I had guys tell me, you know, you don't know how to play the blues. And I remember saying to one guy, well, I played with John Lee Hooker, Big Mama Thornton, Percy Mayfield, Lowell Folsom, Eddie Cleanhead Vinson, Bo Diddley, Canned Heat, John Mayall. They all hired me because they like my playing. But you know more about the blues than John Lee Hooker, don't you? You know,
That's
but
hilarious.
I find it ridiculous. And I'm very happy to keep talking about the album. Like I said, I made it in January, and this is the first feedback I'm getting from anybody on it, you know. And sometimes you get really involved in something when you're doing it, and afterwards you go, "Was that any good? I don't know." You know?
No, I know, like, because like, I was going to ask you that actually, because I get so nervous, and you were so kind when I sent you the last single to sort of have a
It was
listen to
great.
it.
I loved it.
Well, thank you so much, because I mean, that, obviously means the world, but I get so nervous. Like, do you get that nervousness still? You sort of hinted at it then, like, oh, will anyone like this? Does that
Oh,
cross your
I
mind?
get that all the time. But
Ah,
what I do is I make sure that what I'm putting out I feel in my heart is the best I have to give. And maybe I'll listen to it in the car and maybe I'll go, oh, well, right there, the guitar could have been a hair louder, or
Mm,
that. But those are such minute, tiny little things. But
mm,
I will go, this is the best I had to give them. And it will either be okay with them or it won't. But as long as I feel like that's the best work I can do and I'm honest and I've put everything I have into this, that's all you can do. But it's always great to get feedback and have somebody go, hey man, that was good.
yeah.
Feels
Well, it
good.
does. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's an album that will just sort of take people's heads off. It's just I was just looking at because I'm a sucker for lyrics, and I was just looking at some of the lyrics that I sort of noted down, which are like burning crosses and stuff like that. It's no love in your heart. These don't pull any punches. These lyrics. Is that because? Do you think you care less now about delivering lyrics that might be a bit antagonistic to some people? Some people,
I,
you know,
I- you know, something like that song that you're talking about with that set of lyrics, I think the only people that would be antagonized by that are people who do want to burn a cross or
mm,
do want to burn the book of knowledge, right? I mean, um, I know there'll be people who go, what are you talking about, this or that? But I mean, who can argue with, yeah, this guy, cross burning, Ku Klux Klan, intolerant, bigoted. This is the kind of people that this is what's wrong with the world right here,
yeah.
you know?
And it's so important that, and I think that's another reason why this is like such an important album that you've made, because I saw Bonnie Raitt recently, and she stood up and delivered a whole speech before one song on a certain political figure in the States. And pulled no punches. And obviously, we've had the Bruce Springsteen whole thing as well. And I think that's another reason why this album is like so important. And it's come at a time where, as you said, you've released so much music, but this one just hits harder than I think anything you've ever done on so many levels.
Well, especially lyrically, like Sign of the Times, that's Marie. And she didn't pull any punches there. She didn't hold back, but the lyrics don't come out and say, fuck Trump.
No,
But when she comes up with when democracy sours, we try to find our place. Contradictions devour when lies are commonplace. Big brother and greed get all the glory. We find ourselves written out of the story. I don't know who the fuck can argue with that.
no,
There will be people that will, but I don't know.
yeah.
Um,
Those lyrics are
I mean,
just,
and
oh,
I think she made a brilliant statement there without naming anybody. But
yeah.
yeah, democracy is souring, not just in the United States, but
No,
all over the world, right?
absolutely. Here as well, here as well, we've got a lot of problems. A lot of problems. So yeah, absolutely. But when you were reciting those lyrics, then they sort of they punched me again right in the chest. I
Yeah.
mean,
Now,
hats off to
probably,
Marie.
probably the most blatant thing I wrote on here, and I wasn't sure to put it in or not. The song "Artificial." I
Mm,
had verse after verse after verse. Artificial music, artificial poetry, artificial art, you name it, right? And but the last verse when I artificial hairdo, artificial tan. Now it's pretty obvious who I'm talking about there, but I'm not naming names. You know?
Oh, you know what? After this, I'm going to have to send you a picture of a certain dog toy that I've got for my dog that I think is the same figure you're talking about. But anyway, we might be across
Okay.
wires. We might be across wires. Who knows, man? Who knows? So
And
like you
that
just
when it was time to sing that song, I was looking at that last verse. Yeah, I'm gonna do it, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Because like why not? Why
Yeah.
not? You got to be you sort of you got to stand up in you. Um, but just looking a little bit at the studio, so like you recorded. Did you record most of the tracks live or layer them in the studio? Because the energy on some of the songs feels incredibly immediate. So I was sort of thinking, like, was how did that come about for some of the songs? Because the energy is
Well,
so
it
raw.
depends on the song. I
Hmm.
can tell you each of these songs, we went in, we're in the same room, we're facing each other, and we play it together. It's got to
Right.
feel like a band,
Okay.
okay? But then it depends on the song. For example, um, Struggle to Believe,
Yeah.
that's live. There's
Right.
four
Okay.
instruments playing live.
Okay.
Um, no strings attached, live. There's
Wow.
four of us. We're playing it. Here we go.
Oh, right.
Something like I remember um, that we did the track guitar, bass, drums, and a Hammond organ. I went back and played probably two or three more rhythm guitar tracks where a chord will come in just now and then, but very clean. Teddy went back and played a piano.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then we went back and on the outro with the band, we all sang "I Remember" together. That had a lot of layering on it, but the basic track was just four of us playing it. But I wanted that to be layered and to be a production.
Yeah.
Sign of the Times we played live, but I went back and I'm playing the lick with the band. I'm
Yeah.
going boom, 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 and I'm
Yeah.
singing, but I went back and played another guitar under that,
Right.
which is somewhat hidden except during the guitar solo. Then the rhythm
Right.
comes up, you know. So it
Wow. Okay.
depends on the song, really. Too bad that acoustic blues. I was trying to be Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee. I just played it and sang it, and then went back and played the harmonica over it.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was probably the case, to be honest. But I I I was just sort of interested in that. I mean, like Mona Lisa's Smile. You've got like the acoustic instrumentation and the strings. Like, how did that come together?
Okay, Mona Lisa Smile. We did. I played an acoustic guitar. Teddy played the little. I think it's like a Wurlitzer piano sounding thing in there.
Mhm.
And we did that, and we left a space for the guitar solo. And I went back with a nylon string guitar, with a classical string guitar,
Right.
played a rhythm track, and then when it was time for the guitar solo, I played the solo on the nylon string.
Got you.
Then we had the track. I think Teddy might have put a little Hammond in the background to fill it out that was added, or that might have been Thomas who owned the studio, who's also a keyboard player. But then we had the track, and I just thought this would sound great with some strings. And
Mhm.
we've already done two tunes with this guy in LA named Stevie Black, Blacke. And if you look him up, he's done strings for everybody. He's
Right.
the guy in LA, and he does a string section. He can do an entire section and play upright bass and cello and all this kind of stuff.
Wow.
And I'm lucky in that he likes me and he gives us a great deal. And I sent him that track. I said, "Can you do something on this?" Literally an hour later, he sent back what you hear. And he said, "Is this okay?" And I went, "Yeah."
Wow. That
And
dude is quick.
he's very quick. Look him up, Google him. He
I
will
will
blow your
do.
mind because he also writes classical music and he records it where he plays an entire orchestra himself,
Whoa.
track by track. And but it's Blacke.
I
And
will.
he's really go on his website. He's mind blowing, and
Wow.
his resume will blow your mind.
Yeah.
Everybody, every big act out there, he's done their strings for them.
Wow, man. Wow. I mean, like, Too Bad. I mean, I would definitely look at them. Too Bad is like a nod to Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee. Like, what drew you to pay tribute to them now on this album? Like, was there a
I was
specific
I
thing?
was just I was just listening to them because I really have loved them since I was in high school, right? And I was listening to them, and at first I was just going to do it as an acoustic blues,
Yeah.
and then I thought to myself, all I got to do is play harmonica over it, and I can do a little tribute to those guys, you know. And but I wanted to do it just um, Henry Yates, when he was talking to me about the album, he said, well, he goes, Mona Lisa Smile and Too Bad. He goes, they're very nice because they're kind of a break from the apocalypse of the rest of the album. So that's why I wanted to do another acoustic tune, you know.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you actually, was it important to sort of balance out that shade with a bit of light? That was a
Yeah, of course.
specific
Well,
tactic.
all my records, I've done that though. I want them to do this. I want it to be a roller coaster. Even the same with the live shows, you
Mm.
know.
So
I
I
don't
mean,
want to just hammer people all
no,
night, you know.
it's a lot for people to take in, isn't it? And sort of winding it up really now. Um, which songs are you looking forward to sort of playing live with the band when you take this on the road?
Um, Artificial, Mona Lisa Smile, Hurt Myself, Struggle to Believe. Um, I might do Too Bad, but do it with the band.
Hmm.
And then when somebody like Will Wild shows up, I'll have him get up and play harp.
Hmm.
I want to do Mona Lisa Smile, and my son John is going to be with me for the rest of the year, and we can do two acoustic guitars, which will be a nice break, you know.
Oh, that'd be so cool. So it looks like you're going to be probably playing quite a lot of them then, which is great.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
these need to be heard. These need
Oh,
to be played
No
live.
Strings Attached is a must, you know.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear that. I really can't. So, like, just sort of winding it up. Thank you so much for talking to me, and I have to say thank you again for letting my student come and meet you backstage. You know, you are such a lovely guy, and he still talks about that, and I'm sure he'll talk about that. You know, years and years to come. So, thank you again. You've really inspired him. Um,
Well, when I'm back in the UK, come back to a gig and bring them again as my guest. I'd be happy to, and you can hear some of these tunes live.
Well, you're very, very kind. So, last question after 50 years in the business, what still excites you about making music, Walter? In a
Because
nutshell.
it's limitless and it's endless. The more you learn about it, the more you realize you don't know anything because it's an endless, infinite,
It is.
um, beautiful thing out there, and you kind of get into it, and you never get as good as you have it in you to be. I still sit and play the guitar and try to figure out something that I've never played before. And every night on stage, I quest over being able to play something that I could not play last night. And when
Wow.
I do that, I am overwhelmed with joy and happiness, you
Yeah.
know.
And you can
So you got
see
to
it.
you got to keep your focus on the art of it. And that's what Duke Ellington told me when I was 10, you
Wow.
know, when I hung out with him for a day. You keep your focus on the creativity and the art, and don't worry, try to block out the rest of the bullshit that is involved in the, in quotes, business end of this. Be an artist. And if you really focus on being an artist, it's limitless.
Mm.
I can hopefully write a better song tomorrow than I wrote yesterday. Hopefully.
Yeah. It's still having that hunger, isn't it? But that's the best bit of advice for anyone, because as the industry seems to get lost and be spiraling down in itself, and the world as well, it's just keeping that focus on why we do it, which is
Yes.
the art itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
Walter, thank you so much for talking to me, taking the time out. I could talk to you all evening about the album.
Yeah.
I just
But thank you.
absolutely love it.
Thank you.
No
Thank
problem.
you. Like I said, I did it in January, and it sometimes that's when you're with a great label, which I am, but they want 6 months to promote a record. So I give it to them, and then you got to wait 6 months before anybody hears it. And it's like my wife always says to me, when you make an album, it's almost like you've given birth. You've created this thing, and you want somebody to say it's a beautiful baby,
Well,
right?
yeah. Well, yeah,
And
of course. You know,
so
it's a
it's
long.
great to finally get a little feedback on this thing. Thank you.
No, thank you. It's an absolute pleasure listening to it, and it's been on repeat, and I just absolutely love it. As I say, I think it's your hardest hitting album to date, which is just extraordinary, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm 74, but I ain't dead yet.
You're
You
certainly
know?
not. Good God, you are not. I'll give
Thank
you
you,
all
Rebecca.
my love and my love to Marie, and I can't wait to see you when you come over again, Walter.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. Take care, and thank you for the feedback on the record. You made my day here.
No problem. God bless. Take it
Take
easy.
care.
Bye
God
bye.
bless you too. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Thanks to Walter for a fantastic interview. It's always great to talk to him. Do look out for his new album, and there's a link in the show notes below. Next week, I return to the main theme of the series when I speak to Stephen Stanley of Solid Entertainment and get an agent and promoter's view on the current scene. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week.